Namaskar. A very good afternoon to everyone. We are here again with another edition of our program on Ode to the Glorious Past. This is a very well-loved program, and we all look forward to hearing about our past presidents who were great ladies in their own right. They were not just presidents of AIWC, but they were great personalities and great nation builders also. So today we are going to talk about our 31st president, Padma Bhushan Dr. Sarojini Varadappan. She was the president of AIWC from 1980 to 85. Very happening period, not only for AIWC, but for the whole country. So many reforms were happening in all the fields. So this was truly a very challenging period to be the president of an organization. And as we all know, Sarojini ji was not just from AIWC or of AIWC. As we'll see today, she was connected to so many organizations. So before we start the program, I would request our president, Mrs. Sheila Kakreji, to give her inaugural address and her reminiscences about Sarojini ji. Over to you, Sheila ji.
Yeah, thank you. 1 minute. Namaskar and Vanakkam to all my dear sisters and presenters and the guests who have joined in today's webinar, taking us on the virtual journey with our beloved Amma, Padma Bhushan Dr. Sarojini Varadappan, who was the 31st President of All India Women's Conference from 1981 to 1985. She had in her team as Vice Presidents, Mrs. Dipali Sen Gupta from Chittaranjan Park, New Delhi, Mrs. Kalyani Shetty, Mangalore, Karnataka, Srimati Leela Damodar Menon, Kochi, Kerala, Srimati Kalavati Tripathi from Patna, Bihar, Lady Roshan Gandhi from Jamshedpur, Bihar, Srimati Indu Patel, Navrangpura, Ahmedabad, Gujarat. Her Honorary General Secretary was Mrs. Kunti Sondhi from Panchashil Park, New Delhi, and Honorary Treasurer was Mrs. Kalyani Roy from Baliganj, Calcutta. Before we move on to the journey in the life of our beloved patron, I take the opportunity to share my memories with you. The year 1981 had been a very purposeful one for AIWC as we were given 100 crèche programs by Central Social Welfare Board, which were located mostly in the peripheral areas of the city and some in the rural area. One important incident Amma used to share, and I remember, is when Mahatma Gandhiji went to Chennai in 1946 to participate in the Silver Jubilee celebrations of Hindi Prachar Sabha. She was one of the volunteers posted on duty. She told how Gandhiji, after the prayer meeting, sat along with the volunteers who would have to count meticulously the day's collections of the money from the public. She had said that time, I learned that social service is not easy and that accountability was important right down to the last paisa. I feel we all who are dealing with the public money for charity should remember this and follow it meticulously. One more incident I feel is when Lal Bahadur Shastri visited Chennai in 1963 to collect gold for Defence Fund. She, as the chairperson of the State Social Welfare Board, collected 2,000 sovereigns. She set an example by giving her 22 sovereign worth waistband. 10 years later, she headed the Central Social Welfare Board and headed the post for 4 years. She supported my candidature as Secretary General and was very happy to announce my unanimous appointment as Secretary General in 2011 elections. We at AIWC remember Amma Sarojini Varadappan as patron very fondly for giving worthy advice for any problems faced in the administration. For the benefit of our, sorry,
Yeah.
Sarojini ji, this was my, my memory from when I was Western Zone organizer. That time we had held a conference in Pune, and here you can see her with the president that time, Dr. Manorama Bawa, and then Secretary General Mrs. Kothai Pillai, and the Pune branch president, Mrs. Dhadpade. She always felt that branches are our strength, and hence many organizations were affiliated to AIWC. Later in 2010, Mumbai branch had what is this coming in? Mumbai branch held annual conference, 82nd annual conference in Mumbai. That time I was the zonal organizer, and we can see Mrs. Varadappan and the mayor of Mumbai lighting the lamp. Along with them is the president of AIWC, Gomti Ji Nair, Secretary General Shivani Ji Mehta, and Treasurer Asha Deshpande in this picture. I was the president of Mumbai branch that time, so this is from my memory. Here you can see I'm honoring our patron with the ex-mayor of Mumbai, Shubha Rao here, and Sarojini ji is happy, looking very happy and satisfied with the arrangements. This is one more picture. We had released our souvenir that time. All the patrons are there on the dais. Dr. Manorama Bawa, Kunti ji, Shobna Ranade, then our guest, Achala Joshi, wine lady, Sarojini ji, the mayor of Mumbai, Gomti ji, that time presidents, Shivani ji, and Asha Deshpande, treasurer. After the elections in 2011, the newly elected management of AIWC, with Mrs. Beena Jain as the president, myself, secretary, and that time Secretary General, and Treasurer Usha Nair and patron Mrs. Ranade and Mrs. Gomti Nair were invited for dinner at Delhi by Mrs. Varadappan. This was at your house, Jayanti ji, and we missed you that day.
Yes, yes, I could recognize.
Yeah, you had a meeting and you could recognize the house probably. And we
Yes,
missed you that
yes.
day. Now, for the benefit of the guests today, I would like to say a few words about our organization. You will also like to know, Jayanti ji, how our organization has moved. And All India Women's Conference is a 94 years old national organization established in 1927 by Sarojini Naidu, Margaret Cousins, Dr. Annie Besant, Maharani Chimnabai Gaikwad, second of Baroda, as the first president, and Kamala Devi Chattopadhyay as the first secretary, having its head office at 6 Bhagwan Das Road, New Delhi. The education and position of women in British India needed a lot to be improved, and the formation of a community of women to work towards improving the status of women was the need of the hour. Chosen representatives of the conferences organized all over India attended a formal conference in Pune on 6th January 27 and later in Delhi and women and girls from all classes and creed were encouraged to avoid child or early marriage and to get formally educated. Women of stature such as Viceroy of India, Lady Irwin, Vijayalakshmi Pandit, Rajkumari Amrit Kaur, Srimati Rameshwaru Nehru, Lady Ramarao, Maharanis of Bhopal, Travancore, Dr. Muthalakshmi Reddy, Hansa Mehta, to name a few, were the stalwarts of this illustrious organization. AIWC rose further along and gained consultative status of ECOSOC with the United Nations and other international bodies like International Alliance for Women, Pan-Pacific South Asian Women's Association, WREN, Infose, etc. Many institutions like the Lady Irwin College, New Delhi, Cancer Institute, Chennai, Family Planning Association of India, Amrit Kaur Institute for Mentally Challenged Children are few among many others pioneered by AIWC, which are now autonomous bodies. All India Women's Conference also brought upon many legislative reforms in India, including the Universal Adult Franchise, Hindu Code Bill, Maternity Benefits Act, Sharda Act, etc. AIWC at its own level runs projects and programs implementing the Sustainable Development Goals. Regular crash programs are run in the branches. Many branches are running primary schools, working women's hostels, short stay homes for distressed women at 10 branches and also one at Vrindavan and at 6 Bhagwan Das Road, our present campus. We also run old age home for abandoned widows at Vrindavan for past 40 years. Our three trusts for education, health and senior citizens also run separate programs. Programs on communal harmony and peace offered by National Foundation for Communal Harmony are conducted throughout the country with AIWC's vast network of branches numbering around 500 plus and membership around 1 lakh and plus. Other programs conducted are health checkups and anemia programs, socio-economic programs for empowerment, looking at the need of the hour, lot of awareness programs on gender sensitization, sexual harassment, legal awareness, environment and climate change, renewable energy, water and waste management are conducted on virtual platform. During the pandemic, our branch members spread all over the country, extended their helping hand to the needy in every form: food, medicines, sanitizers, oxygen cylinders, vaccination support, providing accommodation for medical doctors and paramedicals, etc. AIWC branches have provided counseling to the mentally disturbed in this COVID situation also. And the Environment Protection Program, our branches take up various programs. This is just a bird's eye view of our activities. I express my appreciation and gratitude to Madam Jayanti Natarajan for joining us to express about Amma today. Thank you, WIA President Srimati Padma Venkatraman, Secretary Bhargavi Devendraji, and whole WIA team. Our Treasurer, Mrs. Rehana Begumji, for presenting Amma today. My gratitude is due to Joint Secretary Supriya Bhalerao for taking initiative in preparing the beautiful invite right from the beginning. Thanks are due to our library team of Ranjana Sujata, headed by Dr. Yutika Mishra ji, member in charge MCM Library, technical support by Ritu and Pratibha. Thank you very much, all of you. I'm sure you must be very eager to listen to each one of the speakers. So now I ask our member in charge library, Dr. Yutika ji, to move forward. Thank you all and wish you good health, happiness, peace always. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sheila ji. Thank you for sharing your memories with us. Such colorful photographs and lovely sarees. That revives old memories, definitely, for everyone, I'm sure. So we move on with the program, and I would now request, there's a PPT in store for us. It's I'm sure it's going to be a visual delight. I would request our Joint Secretary AIWC, Srimati Supriya Bhalerao. Supriya, you're there, yeah. to kindly show the life sketch of Padma Bhushan Dr. Sarojini Varadappan ji through your PPT. This is mostly about AIWC activities. Over to you. You can share the PPT. You are muted, I think. Yeah.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
So thank you, Yutika, for that introduction. And this, which I'm presenting, is the life sketch of our past president, Dr. Sarojini Varadappan. I welcome Mrs. Jayanti Natarajan to the program, and also all the speakers who are sort of in-house speakers, and we are going to have a good time because this kind of work she has done is mind-boggling and enormous. I'm sharing my screen. Can you see it?
Yes, it's visible.
Yes. So my source of all this information is MCM Library and WIA Chennai. Thanks to Padma ji, Mrs. Venkatraman, the President WIA, to give me all this information. Straight away going to the this is Sarojini's childhood. She was born to a social worker, Srimati Jnana Sundarambal, and Sri M. Bhaktavatsilam, who later became the Congress Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu. She married to Sri Varadappan, but unfortunately had no children. Her education she had to discontinue in the secondary school course because the family didn't approve of a girl going to school after attaining puberty. This was a practice in those days, and down south it was very, very strictly followed. She pursued her further studies as a private student, did her post-graduation at the age of 60. You can see the patience. And she finished her PhD at the age of 80. Her initiation into public life was very, very early. Sarojini's mother, Srimati Jnana Sundarambal, was associated with Women's Indian Association, and that's why Sarojini also joined that organization at an early age. She joined AIWC at the age of 16, that is around 1937, and joined WIA at the age of 20, that is 1941. Her work in Women's Indian Association, we will discuss first, but mostly it is going to be discussed by Mrs. Padma Venkatraman. I would show you some slides over here where we can go through, some photo gallery also, and a little bit of, her AIWC work also we will discuss. Dr. Sarojini worked with the Women's Indian Association for more than 65 years, and she was the president for 40 years. She helped increase the spread of the organization from 4 branches to 76 branches. Here we see her receiving the Prime Minister Indira Gandhi when she visited Madras, and there's a next photograph of all the WIA team with her. This is her own team at WIA. I'm sure there may be some familiar faces for Chennai people. She was felicitated at different places on different occasions. Here I have picked up some 2-3 pictures. One is by Dr. M.S. Subbulakshmi, the famous singer, Ms. Vasumati Ramaswamy, and the former CM, late CM, Mrs. Jayalalitha, also is felicitating her. There was a CD which was released, the film which was released on Sarojini Amma, which we are going to have a look at today at the end of this program. This was actually launched by the Honorable Governor Sri K. Rosaiya. And we see in the picture Mrs. Padma Venkatraman, the present president of WIA, Dr. Shanta, the director of Cancer Hospital, and our own Mrs. Janaki Rajaram. Here, Sarojini Amma and the team are receiving Queen Elizabeth in Madras when she visited India. She had visited Madras also. This is the 66th session of AIWC and Golden Jubilee Year celebration at AIWC, WIA, where we probably see Dr. Lakshmi Raghuramaya on the right side in white sari. Am I right? I think so.
Yes, that's Lakshmi Raghuramaya.
And I have a very nice colorful picture. Now this particular presentation or the time is bringing us down to the today's era, and we see Dr. Sarojini sitting here with present President Mrs. Padma Venkatraman, Secretary Mrs. Bhargavi Devendra, Mrs. Vanaja Krishnamurthy. The past zonal organizer is seen, Dr. Bhuma Srinivasan. She is the treasurer of the organization now, Mrs. Shanti Socrates, Mrs. Tara Bai, Dr. Kamali Shripal, Mrs. Sarla Krishnan, Mrs. Jaya Ramakrishnan, Mrs. Dilli, and others. Dr. Sarojini worked at many other organizations other than WIA in Madras. It was Mylapore Academy, Indian Red Cross Tamil Nadu, All India Women's Central Food Council of Madras, Indian Council of Child Welfare in Madras, Sarojini Varadappan Girls Higher Secondary School in Madras, which she founded herself, State Social Welfare Board of Madras, and she had established Annapurna cafeterias, no-profit cafeterias for working people, and this, which actually was a great success at that time. Here we see her at Indian Red Cross Tamil Nadu at Madras, where they're opening a new commercial complex of Indian Red Cross Tamil Nadu. She's sitting with the CM MGR and then the then Prime Minister, Mr. Morarji Bhai Desai. This is the school that she has established, running very well even today. Sheilaji had just mentioned about this, that there was actually a big task in front of the country to raise funds for independent India, and it was a part of the social work where she expressed that I learned that social service was not easy and that accountability was important right down to the last paisa. And this she said after the experience of two incidences in Madras, where 1946 Mahatma Gandhi visited Madras to attend the Silver Jubilee celebrations of the Hindi Prachar Sabha, and after the prayer meeting, sat along with the volunteers who would have to count meticulously the day's collections of money which was picked up from the public. And next time, Mr. Lal Bahadur Shastri, who visited Chennai in 1963 to collect gold for the as a defense fund, and she, as the chairperson of the State Social Welfare Board, collected 2,000 sovereigns. She set an example by gifting her 22 sovereign waistband, which is called Udyanam in Tamil. 10 years later, she headed the Central Social Welfare Board and held the post for 4 years. Now coming to All India Women's Conference, let us talk about her work in AIWC. The young Sarojini became a member of All India Women's Conference when she was 16-year-old in the year 1937. This shows that Dr. Sarojini Varadappan was a member of AIWC for more than 70 years. She worked in various capacities at AIWC and finally became the Secretary General in 1959 and President for 2 terms from 1980 to 85. She held many positions outside AIWC and made a very good use of those positions for the benefit of AIWC. Let's see how. Here we are seeing the office building construction of AIWC continuing under her, in her tenure also, under the presidentship of hers. That time, now this time it was Aga Khan halls were being built, and most of the construction was got completed under Dr. Lakshmi Raghuramaya's tenure. And we see here the team with their president in the center. Her tenure from 1980 to 85 as a president what all she did. In the year 1981, Central Social Welfare Board, which she was a part of, gave AIWC 100 creches. The location mostly was picked up in the peripheral areas of the city and some of the rural areas around. Dr. Varadappan expressed that it was a very useful service for working women when there is none at home to look after the kids, so that women can work outside. She planned for more creches after this. Under Central Social Welfare Board, Ministry of Social Welfare and Health, 2,500 family welfare orientation camps were taken in the rural areas through AIWC branches. And this way, their assistance was used in strengthening our branches. Dr. Varadappan started a legal service cell for women and children of AIWC headquarters at Delhi. Ministry of Education included the All India Women's Conference organization in the reconstituted India, National Commission for Cooperation with UNESCO for 4 years. Chairman of UGC invited Dr. Varadappan to present a paper and participate in the meeting of experts on the role of women in the education and young people for peace. The subject was mutual understanding and respect for human rights. This meeting was arranged together by UGC, New Delhi, and UNESCO. She held many posts and she was nominated in many important committees. Like Chairman, State Bank of Patiala, member the Central Advisory Board on Child Labour, member the Central Advisory Committee of Labour, nominated on the Senate of member of Annamalai University by the Governor of Tamil Nadu, member of Zonal Railways Users Consultative Committee. Also, she was on the important committees like Planning Commission as a member of Working Group on the Welfare and Development of Women, 7th 5-year plan, 1985 to 90. Ministry of Labour and Rehabilitation as a member of Advisory Committee on Equal Remuneration and Employment for Women, People's Action for Development. This was attached to the Ministry of Rural Development as a member of Khadi Village and Industries Madras, Telephone Advisory Committee of Madras, and she was nominated as syndicate member, Annamalai University of Annamalai. She was a member of AIR Madras Advisory Committee. President, who was invited to a meeting with the wives of member of Commonwealth to participate in a discussion on the topic of women and development. We must also see her tenure as Honorary Secretary General of AIWC, where she worked with those projects called Mobile Health Van, started youth and Balika sections, running nursery schools, Harijan schools, play centers, drama competition, etc. She set up an adult education centers, libraries, training in nursery and nursing and midwifery, and organized exhibition on various subjects, running Hindi and English language classes also. There was a SKIPO program of village mobile medical work, which was progressing very well at that time. 8 of AIWC branches were providing free medical aid to isolated villages in the area. And these centers were Bombay, Delhi, Fulton, Kodaikanal, Canara, Malabar, Hyderabad, and Calcutta. The branches were bearing all the expenses of running the van, which amounted in those days to about 800 to 1,000 rupees per month per branch. And as an honorary secretary, Mrs. Varadappan was nominated by Government of India as official participants at the UN seminar held in Manila, Philippines in December 1967 on the long-term program of advancement of women. Now here are some pictures I'm going to run you through. Srimati Varadappan is delivering her presidential address at the annual conference of 1981 at Jamshedpur. Here is, she's being felicitated by probably at Madras, but this picture came to me from MCL Library. So I have put it under All India Women's Conference. We see her, Mrs. Nandita Krishna, Professor Swaminathan, and Mrs. Menaka Gandhi felicitating her. She got awards, which actually the Padma Shri to start with in 1973, Jamna Lal Bajaj Award through the hands of Mr. L.M. Singhvi, former High Commissioner of UK. Then her main award, and the privileged one is Padma Bhushan in 2009. And here is a picture. You see that in 83, 16 years earlier, she was selected as a Sheriff of Madras. Let's go through her family pictures. Sarojini Amma is seen in a garden and also in the puja room. This is Sri Varadappan's Shashtabda Purti function. She is with her sister here, taking care of her when she was ill. This sister is 15 years younger to her, although she herself was 86-year-old at that time. She is also seen taking care of her grandson, of the grandson of her sister when she was ill. Here is today's guest who is going to speak. Can be seen here, Mrs. Jayanti Natarajan. She is in a meeting with her, and Justice Prabha Sridevan is addressing the meeting. I found these very amusing expressions of Sarojini ji. This is a travel gallery. Sarojini Amma traveled abroad, and this is to China. Here is the tribute now, because the end came on the 17th October 2013. It was a great loss, not only to AIWC and WIA, but the entire women folk of India, as she worked all her life for them. For this prayer meeting, the then President, Mrs. Beena Jain, went to Chennai along with the past treasurers of AIWC, Mrs. Veena Kohli and Mrs. Rakesh Dhawan. Today, all the three are veterans with us. In the tribute file, I found 2-3 very prominent messages, out of which there were some standing committee members and President down south. And I found Mrs. Sheila Kakade's message in that. And I would like to read it. She writes that first, when I first saw Padma Bhushan Dr. Sarojini Varadappan in early 90s in Chennai conference, I was very impressed by her commanding voice and personality. She was very meticulous and systematic in her work, and she had very good memory till the last and could remember minute details of any incident. She liked my work as a zonal organizer and had encouraged me to contest for Secretary General's post. When the election results were announced in 2011 in Kochi conference, she congratulated me for being elected unanimously and mentioned that 51 years ago, I also was elected unanimously as Secretary General in 1959. On 26 September 2013, on her 93rd birthday, when the President, Mrs. Beena Jain, and I visited her, she was very happy to receive us and spend some time with us. We at AIWC are grateful to God for giving us such a committed personality. Her work will always be a guiding force to us. May her soul rest in peace. Mrs. Sheila Kakade, Secretary General, AIWC. And I say that Padma Bhushan, Dr. Sarojini Varadappan, you live in our hearts. My special thanks to Mrs. Padma Venkatraman from Chennai, WIA President, and Ranjana, MCM Library of New Delhi. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Supriya. That was a brilliant presentation and indeed an illustrious life, so motivating and inspiring. I mean, we, the youngsters, could not help but, are be in awe of this great lady. And let's hear more about her. It's never enough. I'm sure she wore so many hats. And this is amazing how she could do so much. I mean, it's beyond imagination. So let's hear what Mrs. Padma Venkatraman has to say. Mrs. Padma Venkatraman is the President, WIA Chennai, and Trustee, AIWC currently. She's going to talk about the life sketch of Dr. Sarojini, Varadappan. Before I invite you, Padmaji, I'd like to read out a few lines about you. Your equally illustrious CV I have. Srimati Padma Venkatraman has been active in social welfare programs at national and international levels for over 40 years. And she has been in several organizations abroad also. Mostly, like I can see that she was in Vienna in many organizations, the Vienna Indian Women's Associations, then the Vice President of Austro-Indian Association, and so on and so forth. She was the permanent representative of All India Women's Conference to the UN also, and member of several NGO committees accredited to the UN, such as the NGO Committees on Narcotics, Disabled, Aged, and Women. She was the Vice President of International NGO Committee on Women and the President of UN Women's Guild. In the national sphere, she has been an active worker in the grassroots in the socio-economic rehabilitation of leprosy-affected people for more than 25 years, and has been the honorary director of AIWC, FAO projects, etc. She was also in the creche, started a creche for 90 children with assistance from ITC, and has been honorary director of major Tamil Nadu-wide WIA Danida project for a period of 5 years, and has been in charge of several projects in Tamil Nadu. She has got several awards to her credit, and some of the more recent ones are so interesting to see. Award by the State Bank of India Forum for the Rights of Women with Disability, award by Ramakrishna Mutt towards serving for leprosy affected people, award by the Mylapore Academy for the commitment and dedication to social activity, the Malala Award, and the award by Universal Peace Foundation and the Tamil Nadu Government Award. And I must not miss out, you also play the veena. So over to you, Padmaji, for your presentation on Dr. Sarojini Varadappan, the life sketch.
Thank you, Yutika ji, for the very kind words. Good afternoon to one and all. Actually, Sheila Kakte ji has created history by, organizing this past presidents program. When you just go through the history, it's amazing. When you read about every president, every our past leaders, it's really so inspiring, and it's really that the journey that we go back to our glorious past is and walking the life and achievements of our illustrious leaders. It's really inspiring for the future generation and for all of us. So actually, it is a great honor and privilege for me to talk about the 31st past president of AIWC and our beloved past president of WIA for 40 long years, Padma Bhushan, Dr. Sarojini Varadappan. Thank you, Supriya, and both Yutika, for all the work you have been doing, and I have been pestering you for past nearly 2 days, probably not letting you sleep, have a good sleep. And Supriya, you have done a marvelous job. That you have said everything. You have not left anything for anybody to say. And with beautiful pictures and all that, I wonder whether you were up the whole night yesterday. Thank you so much. Actually, everybody called the Sarojini Amma as Amma, and she literally played the role of Amma. She was a mentor, a guru, and a guide to everyone. And no one went back with the empty hand who came to her asking for some help, whoever it may be. And sometimes we used to ask her, you are giving a recommendation letter to everybody and anybody. So if it happens, it happens. It happens very good. If it doesn't, then it's okay. That's sort of a no hesitation at all. Whoever comes there, whoever asks for a help, immediately she will just, without any hesitation, she will give her recommendation and help them. Actually, Sarojini Amma was a legend, as we all heard so far. She's a social worker par excellence, an exemplary leader, Above all, she was a great humanist. Everyone thought that she was very close to me alone. Everybody who talked to anyone, they said she was very close to me. That's the impression that she gave. That's the unique quality she had. She never behaved like a very important person, though she was a very important person. She will mingle with everybody. She encourages everyone. That was the great quality. She would ask somebody in a meeting, you be the, minute secretary. Irrespective of the fact whether they are capable or not, then she said, Padma, how can they gain experience? If you say they are not experienced, there must be a first time. Doesn't matter. Let them do things. That sort of, encouraging other women to come up. I have never come across any women. So WA was really fortunate to have her for 40 long years as a leader. During her period, so much of work has been done. Because as Supriya pointed out, she is associated with so many organizations, and she made use of that position to help the organization, which every organization, the other organization as well as the WA or AIWC, and as a Central Social Welfare Board, when she was there, she got 30 creches for us, which was a great help for the working mothers, from slum areas, from anywhere. The working mothers needed a place for the children, a safe place for the children to spend the day. And 30 creches she started at that, and it was doing very well. Those children have grown up now and are holding high positions. So it's all her hard work. All the projects that we are doing now, the women hygienic pad, whether it is the nutrition powder, whether it's the computer, this thing, or the nursery training, everything was started during her period. Always she was thinking about the next program and some livelihood program for women. And probably even in her sleep, probably she was thinking about the projects. And she brought many women under her fold, and her priority was to draw out women from the being a cocoon. In those days, women were not very free to come out. And she encouraged many women from the rural areas, from this thing, to come and join WIA, participate in any meeting. And she would always say, all the members should take part in All India Women's Conference meetings and all that. You should not be very parochial, just stay within your state and all that. You should see how women are working all over India. That is an education itself. So she would always encourage everybody to move around, and then it was not easy in those days. So even the family members, because Sarojini Amma was going, they would let the women to go out. It was such a condition in those days. And also, nothing was impossible for her. As it was pointed out, in those days, the custom in this part of the world was that you cannot go to school after a certain age, but nothing can deter her determination. She had private education, and also she utilized the extra time available for learning Hindi. That gave her the opportunity to be in close proximity with Gandhiji when he visited Madras. And also she did a translation from Tamil to Hindi. And so that was really an opportunity because she knew Hindi fluently. Actually, she, as it was pointed out, she did her master's at the age of 60, and her PhD she completed at the age of 80. So age was just a number for her. And everybody, many women, many members in WIA started, continuing the education because it was an inspiration. At the age of 80, it was not just a light subject or anything. She was a regular student, a very serious, committed student who put in so many hours in studying for the exam and all that. So that was a great inspiration for all of us. In our program next, of course, Ms. Bhargavi Devendra, our Honorary Secretary, a senior member, she is going to talk about her personal experience with Sarojini Amma. And we are also extremely happy to have Jayanti Natarajan with us. She was a former cabinet minister, and she had Sarojini Amma was very fond of her. And definitely, we will hear a lot of information about her aunt today. And, I must say that our relationship, family relationship, probably this is the third generation. Jayanti and my younger sister Lakshmi, they are classmates. And Sarojini Amma used to say that her mother and my mother and she herself used to go to Tanjore jail to visit my father and her father, who were, imprisoned in the Quit India movement. And so the family connection really continued. And I'm very happy that was associated with her. And she was another mother to me. And I'm also happy to mention that this is the birth centenary year of Padma Bhushan Dr. Sarojini Varadappan and my mother. They were only a few months apart. So, and Dr. Sarojini Varadappan was associated and led many prominent organizations in Chennai. We have compiled a mini video in which several leaders of this organization have spoken about her relationship and how she helped those organizations. And this is a small video. And this will be introduced by Dr. Venkata Lakshmi, and that will be at the end of the program. Then Sarojini Amma, such a towering personality, when she kept on telling me, you have to take over WIA as a leader after me. I said, no way I can step into your shoes. No way that I can do this job after you have done it. And I used to give lots of other excuses and all that. Finally, she said, Padma, I knew from the day you were born. When I say something, you just do it. That's it. That was a loving command which I have taken up. And I hope I'll be able to at least imbibe some of her this thing. I really admire her, all the qualities, all of us do. And the best way to pay homage to her is to walk her path and then, to carry on her vision and mission to the next generation, to the posterity. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I look forward to other presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Padma. Thank you so much for that presentation and so much information about Dr. Sarojini Varadappan. And as you rightly said, that's just the right way to pay the tribute is to follow their path. That is exactly what we should do, and we are doing at AIWC. So the next speaker for today, as Padmaji also mentioned, is Mrs. Bhargavi Devendra. She is the secretary, WIA, and a senior member of AIWC and has worked in various capacities. She's going to speak about Dr. Sarojini Varadappan as her mentor. Before I invite you, Mrs. Bhargavi, I would like to read out a few lines from your CV. It's an illustrious CV. You have worked as a medical social worker, under Dr. M.K. Krishna Menon, Dr. Mary Wilmot, Dr. Meera Roy, from 1960 to 65. You joined the Tamil Nadu Social Welfare Board, and you were also Deputy Director of the Central Social Welfare Board in New Delhi. You have been Honorary Secretary in so many organizations, especially in the C.P. Ramaswamy Iyer Environmental Education Center and Foundation, and you're still continuing there. Also at the Working Women's Association for 20 years and at the National Council for Women in Chennai. You have been a life member of several organizations also, like the Indian Red Cross Society, the Andhra Mahila Sabha, Indian Council for Child Welfare, and in that capacity, you have worked to prepare their directory, child care directory. Also life member of Sri Seva Mandir, life member of Women's Voluntary Service and University Women's Association, etc. You've got several awards to your credit. like the Best Officer Award from Dr. Sarojini Varadappan herself in 1970. And the most recent ones are the Seva Ratna Award from the President of India in 1998, late Shri T.R. Venkatramanji, and also the gold medal for your work in Red Cross, awarded by the President of India in 2001 by late Shri K.R. Narayananji, and the Best Social Worker Award in the category of Women and Children from the government of Tamil Nadu in 2004. Your interest is the philosophy of Vedanta. So over to you, Bhargavi ji. You're going to talk about Dr. Sarojini Varadappan as your mentor.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Srimati Sheila ji, President, AIWC, our President, Srimati Padma Venkatraman, Jayanti Natarajan, and others. I am thankful to all of you for the opportunity to share my association with late Dr. Sarojini Varadappan. She was my mentor. I met her when I appeared for the Social Welfare Board in the year 1965. Sarojini Varadappan was the chairperson, and I was selected for the post of a welfare officer in the organization. And I worked with her till 2013. She was a great personality. She started her work in the year 1939 at the age of 18 as a volunteer during Mahatma Gandhi's visit to Chennai, and worked in various capacities till 2013.
I think there is some problem with the... We can't hear you, Bhargavi. No,
Network problem.
can't you? Yeah. So you may stop your video. Maybe you may stop your video and continue speaking.
She appeared for her Visharada in Hindi and MA in political science.
I think we have lost touch with her.
Yeah, I think so.
Madam is joined from 2 devices, I think.
Is it? Okay. Yeah.
Yes. But one is muted.
And one is on, but we can't
One
hear.
is on.
Padmaji, are you trying to contact?
Has given such a recognition to WIA in serving the cancer people, and she was the chairperson of State Social Welfare Board, Central Social Welfare Board. She was the president and patron of AIWC. She was the sheriff of Madras. She was served as member in various committees of the government of Tamil Nadu. As everybody said, she collected lot of gold and for the Jawan's amenities during Lal Bahadur Shastri Prime Ministership. And I have also attended the program to see Amma give her own Vadyanam to, as her contribution for the program. And she was associated with a number of institutions at Chennai and outside also. She visited 17 countries as a delegate to represent India. She received 25 awards from various organizations for her services to the society, and the highest is the Padma Bhushan from the Government of India. She was very religious and started Karpagambal Thiruvalvar Sangam along with another member of WIA, Srimati Vasumati Ramaswamy, for providing Mangal Sutra to poor girls for their marriage. She has established a school in her own village, Sarojini Varadappan's Girls Higher Secondary School, and it is going strong. As my mentor, she was responsible for me joining the Women's Indian Association in the year 1965 and serving the organization till today. She has also given me she has also given me
சவுண்ட் ஜாஸ்தியா எப்படி வைக்கிறது ரவி தம்பி?
அப்பா சவுண்ட கொஞ்சம் இது பண்றீங்களா?
அவ்வளவுதானே? இல்ல இப்ப சவுண்ட் கம்மியா கேக்குது.
No, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
She has given me ample opportunity to serve many organizations. Indian Red Cross Society, All India Women's Conference. I have also worked with her in the relief work at Gujarat earthquake and Tamil Nadu tsunami fund floods, and also opportunities for doing relief work during calamities whenever it occurred. She never treated me as a staff, but as a co-worker and a family member. Finally, I would like to share my grief. I was informed that she was admitted at the hospital and I went to see her. She was very sick and was given oxygen. When I went near her, she asked the nurse to remove the tube and asked me any urgent paper to sign. She was so oriented even at the last stage. She was only thinking about the work. I controlled my tears and told her, Amma, take rest. I will come next morning with the papers. That was the last conversation I had with my mentor. I pay my respectful homage to the memory of the great lady who was my mentor and also my mother. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Bhagaviji. That was a very moving tribute you have paid, and we are all with you in this hour. And your remembrances, I'm sure we are all with you in that. Thank you. So we now go to the next speaker of today's program. That is Mrs. Rehana Begum. She is the treasurer of AIWC and is also from the Pondicherry branch of AIWC. Rehana ji, over to you for your experiences with Dr. Varadappan. Mrs. Rehana Begum, are you there? Rehana ji, yeah, you're there. Rehana ji, you may speak now. Yeah. Thank you.
और भी किनारे आप पूछिए सबसे विजिबल है? Am I audible and visible?
Yeah, yes.
Yes, you are.
Namaskaram, Amma. I'm going to talk about AIWC stalwart Dr. Mrs. Sarojini Varadappan, alias Amma. The President WIA, Madam Padmaji, and Secretary WIA, Madam Bhargaviji, have explained how Amma Sarojini Varadappan shine as a stalwart of WIA and AIWC. Thank you, Supriya ji, for that PPT. We have learned more about her. I was much inspired by the background of Amma in AIWC, WIA, Indian Red Cross Society, and other NGOs. It sparked and involved me. I asked my Pondicherry friends and others in my network what do they think stood out most about our late patron Sarojini Amma, the stalwart of AIWC, who guided our Pondicherry branch. Participative leadership for Pondicherry branch. Sarojini Amma and Sai Kumari ji, President Pondicherry branch, were very good family friends. In their lifetime, both of them played a vital role in women's education and women empowerment. As John Maxwell says, leadership is influence. So was the leadership of Sarojini Amma. From 1990 onwards, our Pondicherry members were highly influenced by late Mrs. Sai Kumari ji, who was the chairman of the CSSWB Pondicherry, CSWB member and president of AIWC Pondicherry branch. Patron Sarojini ji guided us to observe AIWC's choices on empowering women by the programs of All India Women's Conference. We affectionately call Patron Sarojini ji as Amma. As Padma ji told, the most important contribution of our Amma was developing AIWC branches. Amma had a clear vision for what drives and creates success for needy women and for children education. Clear communication in the language and of expectations from the branches for continued learning are core values. The steps were observed in developing the branches in every state. Pondicherry was a privileged branch to get the combined leadership of Sai Kumari ji and Amma. Amma exchanged and shared the methodologies of the activities of AIWC with our patron, which was suitable for the women in Pondicherry. She always encouraged us with her affectionate words and praised our achievements. Under Amma's Age's leadership skills, we have all grown as happier, satisfied, which made us performance effective. Courageous leader Amma. Amma was bold in her thinking and determined in her actions, able to take risks in empowering women and think creatively about the future. We came to know through Sai Kumari ji that with the Aegis guidance of Amma, AIWC conducted the 57th annual conference on 9th January 1989 in the Union Territory of Pondicherry. It was the first successful program of AIWC Pondicherry branch. This is the invitation. Then the president was Ashoka Gupta ji and secretary was Padma Seth. Amma's leadership created a new branch in Pondicherry. Along with Mrs. Kuntipal, our patron, Amma looked after our branch very well and encouraged the activities of our branch. In every conference, we all met Amma and seek her blessings. Her leadership motivated other AIWC branch members to work together and cooperate with themselves to achieve the goals. This is the photo taken in 1999 along with Gomati ji, Lalita Balakrishnan ji and Sai Kumari ji. Our Amma is with them. Whenever there was AIWC conference in the southern part of India, Amma used to guide in taking the decisions for the travel plans to the northern part and also for Madras and Chennai main junction. She used to delegate the task to the host branch and motivate them to conduct a successful conference and ensure their loyalty. Branches also involved and show their ability to share the responsibility. The zonal conferences were the very good example of such actions. See, in this letter, she has written to Gomati Nair on 3/1/05 regarding the annual election conference held in Pondicherry. These are the letters we found from the files in the basement in our tenure. This is on Kumbhabhishekam of Vinayaka temple in the premises of WIA in the year 2011. As Supriya told, Amma was awarded so many awards. In this connection, Pondicherry branch also felicitated Amma on the Padma Bhushan for social service she got on March 2009. This is the invitation. Amma is lighting the traditional Uttuvilakku, but we made the eco-friendly lamp made of mud, terracotta. Our Honorable Chief Minister, Mr. V. Vaithilingam, lighting the Kuttuvilakku. Our efficient Secretary of WIA, Amma Bhargaviji, also lighting the lamp. Madam Sai Kumari welcomes the gathering. Whenever there is a function, Sai Kumari ji associates and celebrates like a communal harmony program. See, Sister Xavier is prayer song was sung by the Sister Xavier, and I am along with her, and members were sitting. And our team is standing behind Sai Kumari ji for her notes. Mr. V. Vaithilingam, Honorable Chief Minister, felicitating Amma on behalf of Government of Puducherry. The Honorable Chief Minister, Mr. Vaithilingam, recalled the efforts taken by Amma through the Indian Red Cross Society to provide relief in the form of food and medicine for Tamils living in Sri Lanka several years ago. During the earthquake in Gujarat, Amma took the initiative to construct building of 5 schools in tribal areas. She mobilized 30 crore for rehabilitation of the tsunami affected in Tamil Nadu. Speakers recalled Amma's work while being chairperson of Social Welfare Board, and she served AIWC in various capacities for more than 30 years. Amma is sharing her experiences and everybody is enjoying it. This is all my sisters from Chennai and branches of Tamil Nadu.
Thank you.
Pondicherry and Andhra. In the afternoon, we had South Zonal meet. Our late Mrs. Gomati Nair advising us how to conduct meetings and other things. See the standing style of Gomati ji. Yeah. We are the followers of Amma taking group photos, and we are enjoying in the. There are the paper releases of about the Padma Bhushan award and the celebration. Amma had a different style in her working. She hoped there are multiple benefits of writing letter as a form of communication. The process of handwritten letters connects mind and body and forces a larger area of our brains to understand the matter. This was proved from her letters to branches and members. It gives the opportunity to express opinions on the content with using the words they want to say showing their utmost understanding. For every meeting and conferences, Amma wrote letters with encouraging the teams, host branches, and the management for their good work and success of the meeting. This type of communication helped branches to grow efficiently. I would like to emphasize that this letter writing habit should be followed, or email will not make us happy and improve our capability. This letter is written to Srimati Gomti Nayarji regarding the minutes of the executive and standing committee meeting held in Delhi. This letter I found from the files in the basement, old files. See, this is a letter written to Srimati Sai Kumari ji. One of the letter written to Sai Kumari ji. In this letter, she has mentioned about the arrangements made for the conference. We had a very good and comfortable stay at the guest house. Accommodation was superb. However, I congratulate you and your team of dedicated working who rallied around you. I could never forget their smiling faces. Kindly convey my hearty congratulations and thanks to all of them. Begum stood like a soldier. That is me. These are the some letters she has written to Sai Kumari ji, and we kept the documentation in right way. Handwriting is a much slower process than talking or even typing. Amma benefited everyone with writing letters. Amma's habit of letter writing impacted branches and members to a great effect on the subject. It made to reply and took the opportunity to feel intentional with her words. Amma expended the energy within her and with the branches, which includes writing the words she wants to say with affection and respect to her friends and AIWC branch members. These are some memories. Thank you for my mentor for introducing me in AIWC. Amma's life teaches us to be strong in our confidence to stand alone, the courage to make tough decisions, and the compassion to listen to the needs of others. Amma was a humble lady, and outcome of her actions towards women and children made her to live in our hearts with integrity in AIWC. I take this golden opportunity to show the documentation of the Pondicherry branch and feel very proud that we lived in the era when we physically seen our Amma, served tremendously for WIA and for the betterment of AIWC. Thank you all. On behalf of my sisters of AIWC, I want to say a big thank you to the rare few individuals who have listened without judgment, spoken without prejudice, helped every needy without entitlement, understood without pretension, and loved all branch members without condition. Thank you all. Thank you so much.
That was amazing. That's such a wonderful, presentation. And, I mean, it's so impressive is your documentation. You have preserved all the important documents so nicely, and they're so well preserved. And it's so good to see her own, signatures and what she's writing and all that. It's so interesting. Thank you, Rehana ji.
Thank you, Ji.
Wonderful, wonderful.
This is what we learned from our elders,
Yeah.
seniors, members we vote at.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for being there. And thank you, Janki ji, for being, her support all through, I could see. Thank you.
Very nice.
So now we go over to the next presentation, next talk by Mrs. Jayanti Natarajan. She is the former cabinet minister of the government of India. She's going to talk about the fond memories of her aunt, I would like to take a minute to introduce her, although she needs no introduction. Srimati Jayanti Natarajan is a politician, lawyer, women's rights activist, and a newspaper columnist, author, and TV commentator. She has been a member of parliament for 4 terms and served as the Union Minister of Civil Aviation, Parliamentary Affairs, and Coal in the 1990s, and later as the Minister for Environment and Forest up to December 2013. She presided over the Rajya Sabha as its vice chairman for 8 years and served as the chairperson of the several parliamentary standing committees. She has chaired several international conferences and taught law also, and has been a columnist for several newspapers. Srimati Jayanti Natarajan has had a brilliant academic career and was a university gold medalist and a state level debater. She won the award for Most Outstanding Student of the Year in 1974 and comes from a distinguished family of freedom fighters. Her grandfather, M. Bhaktavatsalam, was the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu. Before being elected to the parliament, Srimati Jayanti Natarajan was a successful advocate who was practicing at the Madras High Court and Supreme Court. And throughout her life, Srimati Natarajan has been an outspoken, fearless advocate for human rights, especially women's rights. And she continues to contribute to nation building still. Over to you, Srimati Jayanti Natarajan. We are all ears.
Thank you so much, Yutika ji. I'm sorry, my video seems to have gone off again.
Yeah, again.
But I was on up until now.
Yeah.
First, this is a very emotional moment for me. So first, I would like to thank Mrs. Kakdeji, the president of the All India Women's Conference, all of you for having organized this extremely moving and emotional tribute to my aunt, Mrs. Sarojini Varadappan. And I would like to offer a particular word of congratulations to the president of AIWC for having thought of this tribute to all past presidents, because I firmly believe that this is the only thing. In fact, on the last occasion when Padma Venkatramanji and Bhuma ji had called me to speak, I said that as Yutika ji just mentioned, my grandfather, there's a memorial to my grandfather, Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, a big memorial built in a main thoroughfare in Chennai, built by the opposition party that defeated him. And there's another memorial to my father, who was a pioneering plastic surgeon. But as far as Sarojini Varadappan is concerned, I said all of you are her memorial. The institutions that she worked with, that the people that she worked with, all the love and affection that I have been hearing so emotionally moved, which moved me so much. This is really her memorial. So the president of the AIWC and all the office bearers of the AIWC and the Women's Indian Association, who are all like family members to me, I would like to offer a very special word of gratitude, a very emotional and a very special word of gratitude to all of you for remembering my aunt, who belongs to all of you as much as she does to us. And in fact, I think that probably we had equal place in her hearts, the family and all of you. Perhaps I would say that the scales tilted a little more towards all of you rather than the family. She spent much more time. The very last words she said to me before she died was, if only I could get the government to recognize the grant of land to Women's Indian Association, I will die a happy person. This was the last thing she said to me. So there's really nothing. You all know more about her than I do. I think about what she's done and what she's achieved. On a personal level, as I said, I've already offered the gratitude of all our family members. As a child, I remember playing in the grounds, walking around the grounds of where probably the president of AIWC, Mrs. Kakreji, is sitting, because she and Lakshmi Raghuramaya and all the others were in the process, I think, of that auditorium being built and the Working Women's Hostel. I've stayed there so many times. I've attended so many meetings of All India Women's Conference along with her. I've seen the work that all of you do. And I want to tell you that whatever little I have managed to fight my way through in politics was probably because of the courage of the empowerment that was given to me by seeing the women of All India Women's Conference and other women who fought selflessly, came out of their homes and who fought selflessly for empowerment of women. I chose to go into a political dimension because I think I'm very argumentative and I fight a lot. I'm not particularly peace-loving or cooperative by nature. So that was probably something that I needed to do, but it has made a tremendous impression on me, and I think AIWC, all the branches, WIA, and I know in Tamil Nadu, everywhere in the country, have made an enormous difference to the women of this country that is not recognized in the country until now. And I think we should, in tribute to all your past presidents and all the work that all of you have done, in tribute to all of them, I think that we should make the country recognize the bridge that AIWC has been to making women like us in politics or in science or flying aircraft or doing wonderful things achieve what they have been achieving, because it was people like you and your predecessors who were the forerunners. About my aunt, she was my mother. I grew up most of the time spending my time with her because she could handle me much better than my mother could handle. And she was as much there's not a single 9 years have gone by, but there's not a single day that goes by when I don't think about her since her death. I feel that she's larger in death than in life. And I'll tell you why. Because every day, in every way, I think about her. And for me, the test of what is right and what is wrong is whether she would approve or not. So, what greater tribute can a human being have than to be the yardstick upon which right and wrong, good and bad is decided? Because she never ever compromised upon doing the right thing and always doing her duty, always doing the duty. She, as already mentioned before, she met, her house was an open house. She met everybody who came to see her. She replied to every letter on the very same day. She was totally meticulous about any function she attended. She would prepare for it. She would study about it. She would read about it. She would talk about it. She would ignore any physical discomfort. She would travel by train. She was a wealthy woman in her own right, but she never actually spent that money on herself. And she would go by bus or by second class or whatever ticket that the others were traveling to attend any function. And the lasting memory I have of her is at just a few months before she died, she insisted on attending a function of the Women's Indian Association at Vellore. By this time, she could not breathe without the help of an oxygen mask. And despite my tremendous protests to the contrary, she carried the oxygen mask with her in the car. She had somebody carry the oxygen mask and the cylinder behind. And she went out of town to Vellore to attend the function and spoke over there and came back to Chennai. And so that was the kind of commitment she felt she had given them her word that she would attend the function, and then she would make sure that she kept her word. She served in many, many high positions. I remember that there is not a single thing that she did not serve on, but nothing ever. She wore that very lightly. Indira Gandhi came several times to her house in Lodi Estate. She was chairman of the Social Welfare Board, and Mrs. Gandhi was very fond of her. She came several times to her house for meetings of women, and my aunt would be in the kitchen making sure that the vadas were made properly, so that Mrs. Gandhi would, and Mrs. Indira Gandhi, thereafter went into the kitchen and congratulated the cook, a young man who remembers it until today, and said, I really enjoyed your vadas. That man is still alive and he lives in Delhi. So this was the kind, but she wore it very lightly. She, whatever high office, whether she was Sheriff of Madras or whether she was president of the All India Women's Conference or president of the Red Cross, or whether it was the governor or whether it was some worker or somebody who was a part of the house help, they all received the same treatment from her, as did all of us in her family. An important thing for me is that she was completely uncompromising in her principles. She did not compromise at any level on her values, her principles, what she believed was the right thing. However much she loved someone, however much she cared for someone, and I'd like to share with you, she adored my son. It was her, I was like her daughter, and I was her daughter, and my son she would spend whenever she was home, she would be with my son and she would take care of him. That is the picture you saw, that is my son. And he adored her too. But when he married a girl from the United Kingdom, a British girl, and all of us were very upset because for various reasons. I remember she refused to talk with him, although she adored him. There was not a day that went by when she didn't talk about him. And then he came and convinced her, and then she attended the wedding. And then my daughter-in-law, who is now a very precious part of our family, this was 10 years ago, she came and asked my aunt, she said, Pati, she said, Granny, why do you hate me so much? What did I do wrong? Why can't I marry your grandson? And my aunt, Pat, came the reply. She said, I don't hate you at all. It's just that my entire family and I, we've spent all our lives fighting the British, and now you've come right into my house. And my daughter-in-law was completely disarmed by this answer. She was very, very, very clear in her mind that she'd spent her entire life burning silk, donating gold, fighting the British. Like Padma Venkatramanji said, so many times going to jail to see her father, keeping the home fires burning, looking after the younger siblings. So she was extremely clear that if she didn't agree with something, she would categorically tell somebody that this is what I don't agree. And another very different aspect of her that I'd like to share with you is she was an organizer even at home. So we have a very big family. There were all her cousins and all her extended family. Everybody came to her and used to tell her about their problems and get things done. And anybody in any extended part of the family, either whether they got married or whether they were having a child or whatever function, she would immediately have a dinner for them. Or she would organize the wedding. And during the wedding, she would pull out that same diary and she would organize duties for each person. You will be in charge of the dining room. You will be in charge of welcoming the guests. You will be in charge of the reception committee. It was something that it was, I think, a part of her that she wanted to make sure that whatever was done was perfectly done. Women's Indian Association, Red Cross, I think Bhargavika will bear witness. Every function, she was so particular that it should be perfectly done, the national anthem perfectly read out in the end, the beginning, that the time is not overrun, that the speakers are not late. And the one thing that I got all the time. The brunt of her displeasure was if I was late. She says, "This is why we don't invite politicians. This is why you politicians are not to be trusted, and you never come on time." And she used to be so angry if I did not turn up for a function of the All India Women's Conference or for some function for which I had been invited. And she would say, "Remember, these are people who make your life possible. You should be there for them, they should not have to wait for you." She never minced any words, she adored me, but she never minced any words. She says, "You're not a lawyer anymore. You're a public servant. You have to be available. You can't function on the basis of appointments." And whoever came to see me, because we lived in the same compound, whoever came to see me, they would go see her and tell her their problems and go, and she would pursue me until those problems were completed. She was extremely frugal. She never spent money on herself. I would buy her clothes and she would never wear them. She would say, "I don't want to wear new clothes." And she was, in fact, something that broke my heart when she left for the final time. She was with me. I was in my house. When she left for the final time to go to the hospital, she was very, very seriously ill. And I called the ambulance, and I was a minister at that time. I called the ambulance, and she would not get into the ambulance because she said she wanted me to go to her house, which was right opposite my house, open the cupboard and bring out a pouch. I said, "But there's no time. You're not able to breathe. Please get into the ambulance." She would not get into the ambulance until I went and opened her cupboard and got the pouch. So I brought back the pouch, and she opened it, and there were three envelopes. One was a gift for the nurses who'd looked after her. One was for hospital expenses, and the third was for her funeral expenses. And she said, "Unless you take this from me, I'm not going to get into the ambulance." And I wept and I said, "How can you insult me like this? How can you do this to me?" And she said, "No, if you have any respect for me at all, you must respect my independence. And you must take this from me." And I will not forget till my dying day that even at the age of 93, even though we were the only people there to take care of her, if she thought I was wrong, she would walk out of my house and live in her own house all alone, but she would not compromise with her principles on any account. She said, "I will not go until you take it." So I took it and I used it to respect her memory. Of course, the hilarious part is she always wanted to pay for her own way. And I would always tell her it was half the price. Whatever it was, supposing a dinner cost 5,000 rupees, I would tell her it's 1,000 rupees, and she would believe me. She didn't know that it was something that I was completely making up. But then she had her suspicions, and she would say, "I think you're lying to me." And I would swear that this is the cost. This is the cost. Otherwise, she wouldn't take it at all. So she till the end, she maintained that independence and that physical courage, the determination. Before I conclude, I just want to say, my mother is the picture that you saw earlier that was shown. My mother's her sister who she looked after, and she was 86. She was 86, and my mother was 15 years younger. My mother passed away of cancer. She promised my mother she'd be with her, and for 2 years, she never left my mother's side. Whether it is the ICU, whether it is the hospital, we had 2 nurses day and 2 nurses in the night, but she would sleep on a little cot beside my mother because she had promised her, and she would never leave her side. And she would, however bad the discomfort was, she even had a fall in the hospital and cracked her spine and was in terrible pain. But she would not leave her sister's side because she had promised her that she would stay with her until she got better. And till the end, she kept her word to my mother. And I remember, she had such the final thing that stays in my mind during Navratris, she would do 1 lakh recitations of the Lalita Sahasranamam. I think Bhargava has joined us on many occasions. Very few people can do it. She would do 5,000 in the morning and 5,000 in the night. And in the 10 days, she would complete 1 lakh herself. In the beginning, it used to be a large Navratri with a huge display of dolls. In the end, it was a few dolls in the puja room. But till the end, she continued doing this. She would get up at 4 in the morning and she would complete it, and she would do it again in the evening. And she would fast every Tuesday and every Saturday, no matter where she went or what she did. She never had diabetes. She never had high blood pressure. She was in excellent health. And she always used to tell me that the worst mistake you can make is to sleep in the afternoon and to be lazy. And you have to be active, both mentally and otherwise. She was willing to learn. She was willing to learn from my son. She was willing to learn from my grandson. And every speech she gave, she would consult me if I was around. And she would say, do you think this is the right thing? She was not afraid of saying she doesn't know. And the proudest moment of my life was not when she, because I knew that she would achieve great things, not that she received the Padma Bhushan. I have the greatest respect for this high honor of the nation. The proudest moment of my life was when I was sitting in the University of Madras among a distinguished audience, watching my 81-year-old aunt defend her PhD thesis and get a doctorate, where at the age of 14 or 15, her family stopped her from studies. She didn't let it stop her. 64 years old, she was sitting in my house studying for her BA exam. 70 years old, she was hiding in my house studying for her MA exam. 81 years old, she was in Madras University. They gave her a standing ovation. And I was sobbing with the tears of pride and joy. What a role model. What a privilege the members of my family have had in growing up and being around a woman like this. And what a privilege for me to be able to speak about her today and share these memories with all of you. From all my heart, I would like to thank President of All India Women's Conference, Padma Venkatramanji, all the other office bearers, all the members, for letting me share my precious memories of my wonderful aunt with all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jayanti ji. Thank you.
So it was
Wonderful.
wonderful. Yes, wonderful.
We don't have words to express, and I'm sure
Yeah.
a very moving account of from a family
Thank you,
member.
Amma.
Usually, yeah. Thank you. From the family members, we hear this, but today I think you are the only family member here present in this gathering. And that was so moving. And I just, on a lighter note, wanted to say, so both of you had your way. You also told her the wrong amount, right?
Yes,
so you were
that's right.
like aunt, like Nisa.
She was too innocent.
yeah, that's so sweet of you also. Anyway, so that's so exhilarating. Such a nice account. I'm sure we are all going to remember this for posterity. Now, another very interesting part of the program is this film that we are going to screen now. I'll share the screen. The film is about the life and achievements of Dr. Sarojini Varadappan. It's been made by Dr. K. Venkatalakshmi. Can I see you? Yeah.
Madam, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Dr. K. Venkatalakshmi is a PhD in electronic media sciences and teaches at the Anna University in Chennai. I want to spill a bean. You asked me not to say that, but I want to say that. You're also a distant relative of Dr. Sarojini Varadappan, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, is that you told me not to share?
Actually, she only asked me to do this. Really, I feel so happy and I'm feeling so much honored. She has given me a very great work. Might be I'm not eligible for it. I don't know whether I'm eligible, but still she believed me and she gave me the work. I really I take this opportunity to thank Dr. Sarojini Varadappan Madam for the assignment what she gave for me. Can I start, ma'am, now?
Yeah. You can start.
With some few words. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
good evening, everyone. For some women, their home is a nation. But for Madam Dr. Sarojini Varadappan, complete nation was her home. Her contribution to development for women was remarkable. She was born to Thiru Bhaktavakshalam and Tirumati Jnanasundari. She was considered as a big asset of for their family. She was born to a freedom fighter and she inherited the same trait. Not only that, but she was active in social service and also developed many women in the same field. Dr. Sarojini Varadappan Madam is a celebrated supporter of equal rights for women. She worked hard for a better world for women and children and persisted in the face of adversity. She knew that many women and children face discriminations. This made her to advocate and campaign for their rights and equality. Her contributions to the society had touched many lives. Just one second. Sorry, madam, some technical problem.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean,
Ma'am, can you hear me?
yeah, perfect.
Just one second.
Yeah, sure.
So she knew that many women and children face discriminations. This made her to advocate and campaign for their rights and equality. Her contributions to the society had touched many lives and brought significant changes in the society and led women to claim their rights and livelihood. I hope you will enjoy watching the bilingual short film produced by WIA. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. K. Venkatalakshmi, for that short introduction. Yeah, I will now share the film. We are going to.
இம்மண்ணில் பிறந்த பெண்களை இருவேறு குணங்களில் பிரிக்கலாம். குடும்பம், அதையே தன் நாடாக கொண்டு வாழ்பவர்கள் பலர். ஆனால் தன் நாட்டையே ஒரு குடும்பம் போல பாவிக்கும் பெண்கள் மிக சிலர். நாட்டு விடுதலைக்காகவும் பெண் விடுதலைக்காகவும் களம் இறங்கி போராடுபவர்களில் நம் அம்மையார் டாக்டர் சரோஜினி வரதப்பன் குறிப்பிடத்தக்கவர். தமிழகத்தின் முன்னாள் முதலமைச்சர் திரு எம் பக்தவச்சலம், திருமதி ஞானசுந்தரம் அவர்கள் ஈன்றெடுத்த முதல் முத்து சேக்கிழார் பரம்பரையின் சொத்து. ஒரு சுதந்திர போராட்ட வீரரின் மகளாக பிறந்து சற்றும் குறையாத போராட்ட குணத்துடன் வளர்ந்தது.
சரோஜினி வரதப்பன் எனக்கு ஒரு 50 வருஷமா தெரியும். நான் கல்யாணம் ஆகி புதுசில் இங்கே சென்னைக்கு வந்தபோது சமூக சேவையில் என்னை ஈடுபாடு பண்ண வச்சது சரோஜினி வரதப்பன் தான். அந்த காலத்திலேயே ரொம்ப ஆக்டிவாக இருப்பாங்க. அதுவும் அவங்க அப்பா வந்து சீஃப் மினிஸ்டராக இருக்கும்போது அவங்களுக்கு ரைட் ஹேண்ட் மாதிரி அவ்வளோ நல்லா பார்த்துப்பாங்க.
I wish to thank the organizers of this program to chronicle the life story of Dr. Mrs. Sarojini Varadappan for giving me the opportunity to say a few words about her. I've known Dr. Sarojini Varadappan years ago when we were in school. She has also held a lot of high-level positions, including the chairman of the State Social Welfare Board, the Central Social Welfare Board. She has been Sheriff of Madras, and I think she has held all these positions with the greatest amount of
Padma Dr. Sarojini Varadappan from my childhood. Actually, when I started doing some social work in a very small way, she was my role model. My husband was the collector of Nathaka district at that time. This is what I remember now. I did some work for the orphan children and for the old age home and all that. And Dr. Sarojini Varadappan had come there and spoke. I was quite young, but she was so magnanimous and she praised me and she said I should continue to do this. So from that time onwards, she has been my role model. I thought if I do some social work, if I get engaged in this work, then it should be like what she is.
Some people whom it is always a good pleasure to meet. Sarojini Varadappan is one of them. I can say this as something that comes from the experience of having known her from the time when I was a child. And I felt the same about her over the decades. There are some people whom it is a joy to meet, some people whom you feel a great respect for when you see them, some people you feel a great admiration for when you meet them. In her case, all these things combine: happiness, respect, admiration. And it is not difficult to understand the reasons for this.
I am associated with Amma more than 40 years. She is my guru, guide, philosopher, and more than that, she is our role model for all the women. And she is our permanent trustee in our Saubhagya Educational Trust. She is giving all support, enthusiasm, and guidance. With her full support only, I am running our educational trust, not only in the social service, I am in because of Amma's advice and great guidance. Her association with Andhra Mahila Sabha is very, very long. Even before I came into this institution, Andhra Mahila Sabha, about 45, 50 years. She was there before that also. She is a close associate of Dr. Durgabai Deshmukh. But always she used to say, Durgabai Ma is my guru and my mentor. And she had a very great respect and love for her. Just like that. And she has served in various capacities in Andhra Mahila Sabha. She was the life trustee and a life member. And I remember in those days, she used to travel to these camps, which used to be held in different parts of India. She used to travel on those long train journeys, live in tent camps, because my mother used to tell me about how she participated in all the activities of the Bharat Scouts and Guides. As a state commissioner, she went to schools. She did a lot for the children in inculcating good values in children, which is what the guides do. But later on, when I came to Chennai and joined the Indian Council for Child Welfare, Amma was there already in the council. In 1953, when the Indian Council for Child Welfare, Tamil Nadu, was established, she was one of the founder members. And over the years, she had been joint secretary, treasurer. Those were the days when she had actually looking after the day-to-day working. It's not like today's NGOs where you have an office, you have a staff. In those early days, they actually did all the work themselves, from drafting letters, going and seeing people. Over the years, she's become she's like a friend, philosopher, and to me, but in particular, she's my mentor and guru. If whatever I do, I always think of her and see how would she do it? Would she approve what we are doing? And as such, she has always been my mentor and guru, and I'm grateful to her for what she is.
Okay,
திருமலாச்சாரியார் தேசிய கல்வியியல் கல்லூரியில 25 ஆண்டுகளாக பணிபுரிந்து வருகின்றேன். அந்த கல்லூரி சங்கத்தின் துணை தலைவியாக நமது பத்மபூஷன் டாக்டர் சரோஜினி வரதப்பன் அம்மா அவர்கள் பதவியேற்று அந்த சங்கத்தையும் அந்த சங்கம் நடத்தி வந்த பள்ளிகளையும் கல்லூரியையும் திறன்பட இயக்கி வந்தார்கள். அதன் பின்னர் 1990 CR பட்டாபிராமன் ஐயா மறைவிற்கு பின்னர் அம்மா அவர்களுக்கு தலைவி பதவி கிடைத்தது. அன்றிலிருந்து இன்று வரை சங்கத்தின் கீழ் இயங்கி வரும் பள்ளிக்கூடங்களாகட்டும் அம்மாவின் தலைமையின் கீழ் செவனே இயங்கி வருகிறது.
Family is known to me for more than 5 decades. She has dedicated her life for social welfare activities, especially for the welfare of women. As Sheriff of Madras, she was responsible for the growth of development and growth of Chennai city. As Secretary of the Mylapore Academy, as a premier social cultural organization, she has contributed a lot for the welfare activities of the Mylapore Academy.
எந்த மீட்டிங்காக இருந்தாலும் நம்ம இந்த கேர்ள்ஸ் ஸ்கூலுக்கு அந்த பசங்களுக்கு சிலதெல்லாம் நம்ம ப்ராமிஸ் பண்ணோமே, அதை முடிச்சிட்டோமா? அதுதான் முதல் கொஸ்டினாக இருக்கும். ஆமாம் மேடம், முடிச்சாச்சு. அந்த குழந்தைங்களாம் நல்லா இருக்காங்களா? சரி, இந்த மீட்டிங் முடிஞ்சது அவங்கள நான் ஒரு வாட்டி பார்த்துடுறேன். அப்போ அது ஒரு மதர், ஹவு ஷி கேர்ஸ் ஃபார் த சைல்ட், ஐ குட் see from her face. அண்ட் இன்னொன்று வந்து எல்லா ஸ்கூல்ஸ்லேயும் ஒரு நாள் நாங்கள் சொன்னோம், சம் சில்ட்ரன் வேர் அன்வெல், தே டிடன்ட் கம் அண்ட் ஆல் தட். உடனே அவங்க சொன்னாங்க, இந்த பொதுவாகவே இந்த குழந்தைங்களுக்கு வந்து ஹெல்த்தை வந்து பீரியாடிக்கலாக செக்அப் பண்ணணும். ஸோ லெட்ஸ் ஹாவ் paramedical staff attached to our school. And any child who is not well, let her test it up. And if they need any medical help, let her take it to a good doctor and check. இது மாதிரி ஒரு ஐடியா யாருக்குமே வரல. அவங்க அந்த சில்ட்ரனோட வெல்ஃபேரை யோசிச்சு அது ஒன்று
என்னன்னா, ஒரு சில்வர் ஜூபிலி ஃபங்க்ஷன் நடந்தது. சில்வர் ஜூபிலி ஃபங்க்ஷன்ல பணங்கிற போது எது வரும்போது அதுக்கு என்ன செக்ரட்டரியை மாட்ட சொன்னேன், கவலையே படாதீங்க, நம்ம எல்லாம் நல்லா பண்ணிடலான்னு. அதே மாதிரி நிறைய பணம் பிரிச்சு கொடுத்தோடனே அவங்கள வந்து எனக்கு ஒரு கெட் டுகெதருக்கு என்ன அவங்க வீட்டில் கூப்பிட்டுருந்தாங்க. அந்த இதை நான் மறக்கவே மாட்டேன். அவங்க ஒரு லெட்டர் கைப்பட எழுதியிருந்தாங்க, அது இன்னும் நான் ஒரு பொக்கிஷமா வச்சுருக்கேன். அவங்கள மீந்து இனிமே ஒரு பெண் பிறவி எடுக்கணும்னா எடுக்கவே முடியாது. அவ்வளவு அழகா இந்த 90 வயசுலயும் இவ்வளவு சர்வீஸ் பண்ணி
நான் ரொம்ப முக்கியமா கத்துனது பங்க்சுவாலிட்டி. அதோட விட சாதாரண ஒரு விமன், irrespective ஆஃப் சோசியல் ஸ்டேட்டஸோ கேஸ்ட் கிரீட் இல்லாம எந்த ஒரு விமன் பிரச்சனைன்னு போனாலும் காது கொடுத்து கேட்டு அதுக்கு நல்ல தீர்வு சொல்ற ஒரு நல்ல குணத்தை அம்மா கிட்ட இருந்து நான் கத்துன்னு இருக்கேன். அதோடு கூட இல்லாம 2 தரமா நான் வந்து ஆல் இண்டியா லெவல் இதுக்கு போனப்போ நம்ம தமிழ்நாடு மட்டும் தான் அவங்க பெரிய ஒரு விமனா இருக்காங்கன்னு நினைச்சதை விட ஆல் இண்டியா லெவல்ல irrespective ஆஃப் ஸ்டேட் எல்லா ஊர்ல இருந்தும், நம்ம டெல்லியில இருந்து சரி, டெல்லி டு கன்னியாகுமரி எல்லா இதுல வந்து பீப்புள் வந்து அவங்களோட ஒரு அஃபெக்ஷனா பழகினது. அவங்க ஷீஸ் ரோல் மாடல் டு த ஹோல் இந்தியா அப்படின்னு சொல்லணும். முத்துலட்சுமி ரெட்டியை நாங்க பார்த்தது இல்லை. அம்மா கிட்ட முத்துலட்சுமி ரெட்டியாவும் அம்புஜம்மாலையும் சுப்பலட்சுமி அம்மாலையும் எல்லாரையும் நாங்க அவங்கள பாக்குறோம். அவங்க கூட நாங்க இருக்கிறது அந்த பீரியட்ல நாங்களும் அம்மா கிட்ட இருந்து சர்வீஸ் பண்ண கத்துனோன்றது ஒரு பெரிய பாக்கியம்.
Concerns cover a wide field of activities, but mainly she is concerned about women's welfare, social and economic development and empowerment of women. Towards this, at the Women's Voluntary Service, she has initiated and we have successfully completed many projects for improving the status of women, especially in the field of education, health, job, and self-employment opportunities. We are proud to say there are many successful stories where women have succeeded and now they are occupying a very good position in society.
Privileged to be associated with Amma, Dr. Sarojini Varadappan. We get the chance to learn a lot from her. She's a guide, a friend, as a mother, as a friend to all of us, and for the younger generation.
அம்புஜமாவை போன்றவர்கள் எனக்கு மென்டர்ஸ். அவங்க தான் எனக்கு வந்து இந்த மாதிரி
சமூக பணியை செய்யணுங்கிறதுக்கு எனக்கு வழிகாட்டியாக இருந்தவர்கள் டாக்டர் முத்துலட்சுமி ரெட்டி, அம்புஜம்மா, ராதாபாய் சுப்பராயன் போன்றவர்கள். அதனால அவர்களுக்கு நான் முதல்ல அவர்கள் அளவுக்கு நான் செய்ய முடியலன்னாலும் ஏதோ அவர்கள் காட்டிய வழியில ஏதோ கொஞ்சம் செய்ய முடியும்னாக்க அதுக்கு உங்க எல்லோருடைய ஒத்துழைப்பு. நீங்க எத்தனை பேர் ஒத்துழைப்பு கொடுக்கலன்னாக்க என்னால் நிச்சயமா எதுவும் தனிப்பட்ட முறையில நான் எதுவுமே செஞ்சிருக்க முடியாது. பெரிய பாக்கியம் என்னன்னா எனக்கு இப்படிப்பட்ட ஒரு சக ஊழியர்கள் என்னை நல்லா புரிஞ்சுக்கிட்டு எனக்கு ஒத்துழைப்பா இருந்து எனக்கு இவ்வளவு நல்ல எனக்கு உதவி செய்வதற்காக உங்களுக்கு எல்லோருக்கும் எனக்கு நன்றிங்கிறதுக்கு அதுக்கு மிஞ்சின வார்த்தை ஏதாவது இருக்கான்னு தேடி பார்த்தேன். எனக்கு என்னுடைய புத்தியில எட்டலை. ஆகவே நான் அத்தனை பேருக்கு என்னுடைய நன்றியை சொல்ல விரும்புகிறேன். சக ஊழியர்களுக்கும் என்னுடைய நன்றியை தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கின்றேன். நன்றி, வணக்கம்.
So with that film, we wish we could understand more, a little more, but maybe next time, maybe we have some subtitles, Padmaji, next time. But it was such a pleasure looking at her smiling face. So we come to the last segment of today's program, and that is the patrons and senior members of AIWC who are going to share their experiences with us about their, memories of Dr. Sarojini Varadappan ji. So I would like to invite our patrons first. Veena ji, Rakesh ji, if you're there. Can I invite Mrs. Veena Jain? Are you there? I think I saw she's gone.
You can call Janki ji if nobody is coming.
Okay. I think Veena Kohli ji is there if she wants to say.
If she was to join late.
Okay, I think she's there. Veena ji, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah,
Please.
hello. Sorry for joining late, but I had another commitment, so I couldn't come on time.
Maybe you want to speak something about Dr. Varadappan, right?
I did not have too much of an interaction with Sarojini Varadappan ji. Very little. The first time it was when I got elected as treasurer, and she at Surat. That was the election that took place over there, and she was one of the patrons and one of the people who was looking after the elections. She hugged me and congratulated me, and she said, "Oh, we expect a lot from you." So I tried my best to live up to it, but always I was of awe of her. She was such a charming personality with her beautiful clothes and her nose ring and her diamond earrings. She was very charming, and I was really awed with her personality. And I had great regard and respect for her. There was no other special incident that I remember, but I always held her in great regard and respect. So that was really my only experience with her.
Thank you. Thank you, Veena ji.
Thank you.
Now can I call Janki ji? Janki Rajaram. Mrs. Janki Rajaram, are you there?
Thank you. Good evening, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jika.
Yeah, good evening.
Can you start now?
Yeah, sure. Go on.
You know, these are
Padma Bhushan Dr. Mrs. Sarojini Varadappan's father, Mr. M. Bhaktavasalam, and Mr. K. Nadar, both Congress leaders, were in the central jail in Palingotai in Tirunelveli district in South India before India's independence. My father, Mr. S. Vaidyanathan, was the jailer of the same jail at Palingotai. Often idli dosa were prepared in our home, were given to them silently with the permission of the jailer. Later, Mr. Bhaktavasalam, Sarojini Madam's father, had become the Chief Minister of Madras provinces. In 1951, my father-in-law, who now wasn't transferred into Madras jail, took me to the Chief Minister at his residence, which was at Warren Road in Mylapore, Madras. Now the name has been changed into Salam Mark. I saw Sarojini Madam in a glance with a long plait with hair with flower, and she was standing surrounding with her family members. Father-in-law was an admirer of Bhaktavasalam, and he often used to attend. Because of her word, I was selected in the AIWC committee of Central Welfare Board of 2 terms under the chairperson of Mr. Mudalaji. I attended with Mrs. Varadappan the Beijing International Women's Day Conference in 1995 for 10 days. 50 members of AIWC attended and 20,000 women from other countries. Both language and food was a great problem that we faced. Since we both were strict vegetarian, I took a portable stove to cook our South Indian meals. Every day we had to walk 2 to 3 kilometers to catch the bus and to reach the pavilion for the meetings. We enjoyed well with the Kalpana Michuri, Aparna Basu, Yalta Balakrishnan, Shobhana Ranade, Kalavati Tripathi, and Dr. Manoram Baba, and with all other sisters, AIWC. She was a religious person, and we both would chant the sloka Lalita Sahasranamam before eating. Once, when she was in Delhi, she was with me to do the Valakshmi Puja in my home. She has sent me a thanks letter to her pretty handwritten letter. I introduced my sister Radha Krishnamurti, who was residing at Chennai, with Mrs. Varadappan to join the Women's India Association at Chennai. My sister soon opened a branch at Tinagar at South Madras and also affiliated with WIA. In 1996, it was a very active branch in Chennai named Apurva, and were educating 20 to 30 children every year from low-income family. In order to help these families, the branch used to celebrate annual day at grand scale, where Mrs. Varadappan was inaugurating continuously the last 20 years. Mrs. Bhargavi, the secretary of WIA at Chennai, announced to bring a CD about the life journey of Mrs. Sarojini Varadappan in the AIWC conference. She requested financial assistance. I donated rupees 5,000. Mrs. Varadappan wrote me that immediately to my contribution was a lucky beginning. All the money were collected and I was invited for the releasing ceremony of CD. Then the Chennai Governor, Honorable Mr. Rosaya, released the CD in Chennai on 26th October 2012. Dr. Shanta, director of the Cancer Institute, and gave the felicitated address. It was very prestigious to sit along with such stalwarts. The photo already you have seen, that just the photos here. Yes. This is
okay. This is a picture.
Yeah, I've shown the same picture.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's
nice.
Has she finished?
No, Rehana ji, are you still there?
She's there, but she's not connected.
Deepika ji, in the meantime, can I say my
Yeah,
in
sure.
her eyes. About that, Shanti Natajan.
who constantly took care of her health. I too got emotional. That was the last meet. Padma Bhushan Dr. Sarojini Varadappan was a living model of social worker, honest, listening, helpful, caring, and able. She was my great admirer. I miss her. We all miss her. Thank you.
True, we all miss her. Thank you so much, Janki ji.
Thank you.
Padma ji,
Yeah,
before,
just one request. All of us seem to have received letters from her. It would be
Yes.
wonderful to compile all the letters and make it
I'll
a
do it.
something, you know.
That is good.
Send
That
it
is
all
good.
to either AWC or to WA. We will compile and then we will send. That would be wonderful.
perfect. That's a great idea. Yeah.
I'll give you my letter also. I'll keep it
And
with
be
me.
a resource for future use. Yeah.
I'm giving it.
Now, I would request, invite Shivani ji. Shivani ji, you may speak. Yeah. We can see, you can switch on your video.
Do you hear also?
Yes.
Yeah,
We can hear
we
you.
can hear you.
Yeah, fine. Then I have the Secretary General at that time, and at that time there was a meeting in Haridwar. Gomti ji, she was a president, but she has got some message from her sister that she has fell down and broken her thigh or something. So she left the meeting. I was there, and some of the standing committee member, I say that they have made some disturbance. That this is not the way. We are not coming here. We want to have full facility. So really, I was disturbed that everything was arranged, but previous night there was a great rain and electricity was gone and everything was, electricity was out and just the meeting was going on with a generator. So at that time, really, I was disturbed. Gomti was not there. And me and Asha were there conducting the meeting. So really, I was disturbed. When the meeting is, I said, sorry, we can't help more. It is natural calamity, but anyway, I'm sorry for it. Then the meeting is ended, and she called me. And she said, she pat my shoulder, and she said that, Shivani, don't get disturbed. You have tried your best. You have put your 100% that we can notice. So don't bother for it. Whatever it is there, some may say anything, but don't take it in, don't keep it in your mind. We have whatever we do it for 100%. And in that way you have done it. I can see it here. And so don't bother for it. And she patted me. Still I can feel that touch. And really from the very next day, it was first experience in my life that somebody has called like this. So really it was that. In the same way, when I was standing for election, at that time, previous night, she called me. And all the patrons were sitting there. And they said that, Shivani, you say that you have not done any office work or any service. And you are living in Gujarat. So once I have told you that if you want to contest for Secretary General, it is fine. But you have to stay here in Delhi. Our time was something else. When I was living in Chennai, and secretary was handling all this general general routine work. But time was different. Now the organization has grown up it has expanded. And so it will be your duty to stay here in Delhi. I said, it is all right. So then she said that I think, not only I, but we think that if you are telling that you are not experienced with office work and things, so then give this time, you apply for a joint secretary and give that chance to Sunanda Sarkar. I said, sorry, I have great respect for all of you. But at the last minute, I won't change. Otherwise, I have my image that Shivani, what she does it. But if last minute, if I will change, then I will spoil my image, and that I won't do. So please, sorry and forgive me. I can't do it. Then election was next day, election was gone. And after the election, Janki ji is there. She was also there and she was contesting. And I was elected as Secretary General. And then again, at that time also, she called me and she said that, Shivani, I can see, it is not yet contact, but I can see the hips. And so I have never imagined that you will be that much popular in South and even on the North. And then after the election was on, again at that time also, she said that, Shivani, very nice, do your best. And at that time also, that was my personal experience. And the other one, before that, always in Gujarat, we were calling the president. At that time, always she was coming, but I was very young at that time, though I was in executive committee of Gujarat, but young. And so I was running around and all the things. So we know her, hello, how are, and namaste, nothing else. In the same way, there was an annual meeting in Surat, 2002. At that time, she called me. They were sitting on a table and she called me. Jaya Pillai was also there with her. And she said that, Shivani, I have some work. I said, all right, tell me whatever I can do. And she says that she sees Jaya. And I wish that she will come to AIWC as a Secretary General. And I think in Gujarat, you can vote for her, and you, all your Gujarat, you can convey my message. I said, all right, we will. That was the personal touch. But I was always liking her, that other side, that she was more spiritual. No one has mentioned that side of her. But she was more spiritual in every of her lectures. Always there was some quotation of Gita. If I am not mistaken, I have collected it. And in Hyderabad or some meeting, we sit together after finishing the meeting. And I said to her that, Sarojini ji, I liked your this thing very much. That otherwise, when people are doing work, social work, it is on that side. But you have the combination of both the sides. And that I like it very much. And she said that you have idea or not, but I have done my PhD on the same line, on Swaminarayan. And I was called when the Delhi Swaminarayan temple was open, exhibition and thing in Noida. At that time, they have called me to open that, special invited to open that in the opening, because I have done my PhD on Swaminarayan religion. So it was some personal that touch, and very few, but I can't forget it. Just like that, it is here. Thank you. And thank you, Shilaji.
I'm Dr. M.S. Shamla. Hello?
Yeah. We can't see you, ma'am.
Okay. I'm Dr. M.S. Shamla, President, Women Doctors Association, Tamil Nadu, and Vice President, Women Indian Association, Chennai. We had lucky enough to invite our Madam, Mrs. Sarojini Varadappan, to one of our annual conference. She was a simple, humble, and down-to-earth person who gave us so much of guidance and thing, and she was a real leading star and guiding star to us. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, Shamlaji. Thank you for the input. Now we take permission from the President to close the program, and I would request our Mrs. Supriya Bhalirao, as always, to give the vote of thanks. She is the Joint Secretary at AIWC. Supriya, over to you for the vote of thanks.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Yutika. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. So this is Supriya Bhalera, Joint Secretary AIWC, delivering the formal vote of thanks for this particular session. As usual, I would like to thank Mrs. Sheila Kakade, our president, for starting this webinar series on past presidents, which is indeed a unique program. And as a part of the team, going through the history books and finding out facts has become such a beautiful experience, because these personalities, they are great personalities. It is not only interesting to read about them, but it is also very inspiring. And to be able to use this AIWC platform to help the women in need. So I thank you, Sheilaji, once again for your contribution to this. And then each time I must say that Sheilaji contributes to each and every president, and she's very alertly talking about it. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mrs. Kuljit Kaur, our Secretary General, and Mrs. Rehana Begum, our Treasurer, for involving themselves fully and even presenting our several presidents. Thank you both. Special thanks to Rehana ji. She presented a small, nice presentation on Dr. Sarojini Varadappan. I thank our guest speakers today first. Our guest speaker, Mrs. Jayanti Natarajan, a very renowned personality. I must thank you, ma'am, for that wonderful talk. And it was very, very pleasantly surprised to know when you said that you know AIWC, all of us at AIWC very well. And you also said that there is a potential in using this AIWC platform to do some good things to women folk. I think we are all just loving that idea, and then we are heading towards it also. Thank you for sharing those nice memories of Sarojini Amma, and great to know about her simplicity and those great values. Thank you for your time, patience, and effort.
Thank all of you.
Thank you. I thank Mrs. Padma Venkatraman for preparing that speech and talking very passionately on the past president. It was true when you said that everyone had a special relationship with her. And I'm sure, as you said, it's a good idea to put the collection of letters together. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mrs. Bhargavi Devendra, the Secretary of WIA. It was nice to hear from you sort of a different picture of Dr. Sarojini Varadappan. You must have been so attached to her in the process of getting the mentoring from her that the speaking itself about it, has moved you. Thank you once again. Thank you, Rehana ji, for your nice PPT. And we have come to know that what kind of work she was doing in the South zones, and how the branches and the members were attached to her and following her very religiously. Thank you for collecting those letters, and I'm sure they are worth preserving. You're right when you say that letter writing habit must be again revived. I thank Dr. Venkat Lakshmi, the director of this film, for giving that nice introduction about Dr. Varadappan before screening the film. And I thank her for a beautiful film that she has produced. I thank all the others who talked about Dr. Sarojini Varadappan, Patron Veena Kohli. She called her charming personality, and she still has great regards and respect. Mrs. Janki Rajaram, it was one very nicely prepared talk of yours, very interesting personal experiences of yours. I thank Shivani Mehtaji, also Shanti Tanikasalam, Dr. Shamala for speaking about it. And Shivani ji looks to have a very special relationship with her. And then I now thank all the patrons who are present here at the webinar. I saw Mrs. Beena Jain in the beginning, but I think she doesn't seem to be there, Mrs. Beena Kohli. And I also thank all the vice president, zonal organizers, members in charge, and all others who have attended this session. Lastly, I thank profusely Dr. Yutika Mishra, who is the professor of history and MIC of MCM Library at AIWC. Thank you, Yutika. And that's where I end my vote of thanks.
And thank you, Supriya.
Yeah, we have to thank you.
Such a wonderful vote of thanks. बहुत अच्छा.
And
thank you.
I have asked
Thank you,
when
Kulji.
she goes to Pondicherry, she should write me a letter.
On behalf of WIA, we thank you all very much. It was a
Thank you.
wonderful program.
Thank you. With this, I think we end this program. It was such a successful and a wonderful program. And now we meet on 15th April with our next president, that is Mrs. Ashoka Gupta. So see
Thank you very much, all of you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.